Welcome back, Red Spotters, to the show here on the Red Spotlight Podcast. I'm your host today, Alexis J. Soda, and I'm joined, we can't find anybody new here. First we have is Peter.
What?
Great. And I'm also joined by Alexis, Moreno, and David Francisco, all the way from the middle of nowhere. How are you doing?
Good.
They're in Texas.
You literally can't help yourself. Every single time.
I always think
I'm actually terrified to go to Texas, not for obvious reasons, but I just always had. Okay, I watched.
Is it because of SpongeBob?
No, because I watched
I always think of SpongeBob.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that movie I walked away from that movie because it was freaking me out. And ever since then, I just told myself I'm never going to Texas.
Wait, which Texas Chainsaw?
I don't know. Does it matter?
Because I saw the 2005 remake or something when I was young, and I was terrified. I asked my dad how far away Texas was from where we live, because the movie ended with and he has never been found.
Yeah.
That dumb shit, and I'm like, no. Fuck,
No, I think
this
it
is
was
all real.
I think it was that one, and I watched it in my aunt's house, and I had to go to the other room because I couldn't take it.
No, that one's terrifying. Fuck that.
I mean, it's called Texas Chainsaw Massacre for a reason. I would imagine that'd be one of the wonderful titles you'd get the hell away from.
Yeah.
So this is the day that we're recording this podcast is actually Memorial Day for the lost year of 2020, which is actually rare. We never get the chance to do anything on Memorial Day because I feel that we all usually have wonderful plans that, of course, didn't come to fruition this year because of certain COVID. And yeah, today's Memorial Day. As far as what we'll be discussing today, we have several news topics from the wonderful film industry, one including the Snyder Cut coming in 2021 with new scenes, apparently short form episodes, and money coming into it. And we also have Tenet, the upcoming Christopher Nolan film, which is evidently going ahead with its marketing campaign, aiming for a mid-July release in theaters, which that brings up many, many questions and potential problems. And of course, as always, we begin every show, or at least we try to begin every show after a COVID rant or two, the things that we have watched in the last week as far as movies and TV shows, and I'm sure all of us have something to contribute to that. But of course, we really would be remiss if we didn't mention, especially since Kyle unfortunately has been absent for a lot of these episodes because he has, we call him the essential worker of the month, maybe the year at this point. But for the occasions that Moreno and Peter, that we've been doing these podcasts without him, I think there have been a handful at least at this point. The ones when we first started doing these with the three of us, and now we have David here as an add-on, we get a little bonus here. We were monitoring, of course, the death toll of the plague that is seemingly happening in our country and, of course, the world. And I feel as if it was 22,000 was around the number that we were talking about originally as to how many were dead. And then in the subsequent episodes that we, came back together, it went from 22,000 to 47,000. Then I believe
80-something, I think.
80-something thousand.
80-some.
Last time, I think it was around 90 or so thousand. Last I checked, of course, Ryan Struck on CNN does these very daily posts on Twitter. 5 hours ago or so, I think at this point, maybe 6-7 hours ago, the latest milestone was 98,000 officially dead. Of course, we've all seen the what I would assume would be infamous now, New York Times front page, which is commemorating the benchmark that we're about to pass, which is 100,000 Americans gone, dead from COVID-19. And, I feel like what I'm about to say is controversial, but it shouldn't be. Like, that amount of lost life is not only sad, but scary. Because what is it? Like 2 months, 2.5 months we've been doing these podcasts now, when we do insert COVID into the conversation. It's been going on for 2.5 months, I think. And 100,000 people died in that time.
Mm-hmm. Quite a bit.
And for as downbeat as that sounds, it's, if not more depressing and saddening, that this isn't an experience that none of us have ever gone through. I would assume most people living today have not gone through, in such a short period of time, that many people having been killed. And yet, and I'm sure I speak for all of us, we're seemingly left with no words when we see photos of mass gatherings on beaches, stores, mall complexes, hike trails, close, gross contact in pools as if it were spring break, and maybe even as bad as going outside in your own local area and seeing that the number of people that have been wearing masks have just gone down. The number of people that have been trying have just given up. And it's just an interesting time to be alive, where we have this many people that needlessly died, and yet we all just kind of don't care.
Collectively as a nation.
Right. Of course, I don't speak for us. I mean, we care because we're actually talking about it, and I think we feel that every day. And I know that in the last 2.5 months, and you might have heard it on this show, on other podcasts, or maybe we didn't let you hear that, but we've all been struggling through personal hardships, and it could be anything from, anxiety to depression to literal financial hardships, and of course, outside pressure, and of course, the paranoia that goes through it, and of course, the disgust of, the apathy of people. So, yeah, there was a week I think I just didn't podcast because I was just like, you know what? I can't. I literally can't. There was a fantasy fair we did a few weeks back. Kyle asked me to be on there because I think Alexis was busy. I think that was that week.
That was okay, yeah. That's why. I think that was. I think I just said I was busy because I just no.
That was that week.
Yeah. That was. Let's call it the dark week.
That was, yeah. And so it's like, okay, I'll do it. And of course, we were talking about reopening guidelines for Disney parks. And I was not in a good place. I wasn't like one of those episodes where I just like scream and yell. It was more of those like, oh, okay, yeah. What can we do about it?
Nothing.
Which is kind of like the state that, some of us can resign ourselves to. So with that long preamble out of the way, how are you guys now? We want to do these episodes. We want to do these episodes like diaries, like trying to see how our state of minds are in this unprecedented era. And, I leave the question to any of you who want to like share like experiences or thoughts or just like what's been going on, how you've dealt with it in this really challenging time.
I mean, I think the thing that gets me more now is like the place where you guys are at. Like, I think that's, I don't know. It's just like I can't imagine how you guys are feeling. And like, for me, like, I'm terrified. Like, that's, obviously it's like not my home now, but like it was my home, and like I have so many like friends there, and it's just like scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, one of my high school friends announced today on social media that he was tested positive for COVID-19. Now, this is a person I haven't been in contact with in a long time, but it's somebody who I was in those days, and every week this goes on, it hits home. It hits closer to home. At this point, the number of people that I know of personally that have had COVID, I think is 5, maybe 6. Thankfully, in most cases, in all those cases, they got really lucky. They really did. But it was scary just to think that you might lose that person.
Yeah.
One person in particular who is a close, is a treasured member of my mom's inner circle, and always, also been a lifelong friend at that. She lives in Las Vegas, and she caught it. She and her boyfriend caught it, but they both were able to get through it. But it was just
like getting that call is the worst thing.
It is, and it is also getting that confirmation, because I recall, a few weeks ago, I celebrated my 25th birthday, and we had a massive like Zoom call for people that wanted to say happy birthday for me. And this person who I was referring to in Vegas, literally got the results of her test minutes, if not seconds, after singing happy birthday to me. And then she was off the call for the rest of the night. She had to get in touch with other family who she might have been in contact with. And it's the emotional toll is something that perhaps is not being as covered, because we all know that how the virus works.
That's the thing. We kind of don't.
Yeah, we don't.
I got a call about, I didn't, it was my mom, but I was right next to her when she did get the call that her sister, my aunt, tested positive, and her symptoms weren't that bad, but we don't know how this thing works. It could turn all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And that's kind of really scary.
It's almost like a Russian roulette kind of thing where you really don't know how bad or how good you're going to have it. And that's the scary thing. There's just almost no pattern. The one pattern that we do know of is that if you have underlying health issues and if you're older, you're more susceptible to succumb to it, but not in all cases. And in a lot of cases, those who are perfectly healthy, you mentioned that Broadway star who's kind of dying right now. He just woke up from a month-long coma.
Yeah.
And the latest updates weren't promising. He had his leg amputated because of it.
Yeah, what? The fact that people are oh, you just get a fever and blah. No, this guy got his leg cut off. Mm-hmm. We don't know what this thing can do.
No. And I swear I read every other day, there's this new part of the body that is revealed that is ravaged by the coronavirus. And I think I've just accepted it long ago that this is kind of a human killer in every aspect. Because I don't know how many articles I've come across that have said that, oh, it destroys, you have long-term lung damage, long-term heart problems, long-term this here and that there. And it's the thing what's scary about it is that the range of symptoms, the range of problems, the range of pain, the diversity of pain, really, if you think about it, it's almost as if this thing was cooked up in a lab to kill us, if you think about it. It's now,
Peter.
Well, maybe the wording was maybe in poor taste. I apologize. That's not what I meant. I shouldn't have used those words.
There's quite a bit of conspiracy theorists.
That's not what I meant to imply.
Fuel them.
I apologize for that. I wasn't alluding to that, but now that you made that face, I was like, oh shit, never mind. That's not what I meant. I didn't mean that it was like made in a lab on purpose, but like I'm saying that this virus works in a way that it ravages the body, the immune system, everything about it. And we still don't know a lot about it. But yeah, every now and then I have to like get myself a little bit extra motivated because of the times that we're living in. And yeah, Peter, what about you? I would assume most of your time has been trying to starve off extreme anger.
Extreme boredom.
Well, we all have that.
Anger. It's pretty useless at this point. I mean,
to be angry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that anger gonna do? It's not gonna change anything, that's for sure. You know, I've lived through several elections that have all showed me, you know, anger doesn't change anything. You can do your parts here and there, but just being angry doesn't do much. All you can do is right now really your part, which is continue to stay inside, continue to not just go to parties, just go to people's house willy-nilly, only go out for essential supplies and when you have to, like, or if you have to go to work. Currently that's all I have the power to do, so I focus on that.
Yeah, as far as like for what I am doing, it's kind of what I've been doing this entire time. I rarely leave the house. I just don't have the need to go anywhere or leave the house. And when I do, well, that's a different story. Let's say I need to go put gas in the car or get groceries. I get out, I wear a mask. If I'm going to be touching something, get some gloves. And then come back to the house as soon as possible. But that's just kind of how it is. It's kind of like being on a full-time house arrest. But as far as like going to gatherings or going to parties, I'm not going to lie, I've been tempted, but it never came to the part of like actually going. There was a gathering that was happening, I think, this past weekend in Chula Vista, one of my family's places. We usually have a get-together this time of year anyway. And some chose to go up there. And while they themselves in Chula Vista don't go anywhere, and the gathering was limited to like, not even 10 people, it's still, like, we thought about going, but I can just look at everybody's faces, like, speaking for my mom and my brother, it's like, no, yeah. I'm okay.
Well, that's how I am. Like, I always want to go like visit my friends who live where you guys are at, because that's what I usually do. Like if I like even before, like if I had days off or something, like that's where I would go. And you know, there's been a lot of times where I'm like, okay, like maybe I can go now and stuff, but something always happens and it's always like in my head and I just like choose not to.
Yeah.
Yeah, every time it's like, why risk it?
Yeah, and literally like that. Every time, like, I'm like, okay, maybe it's fine. Like, maybe it's fine. Like, I'll stay for a week. Like, I'm not, like, we're not gonna go out, blah, blah, blah. But it's, like, literally every single time something worse happens. So it's like, fuck, okay, fine, I'll just stay. Yeah, shout out to Sergio, because there you go.
Oh yeah, shout out to Sergio. He's been asking for weeks now, I feel, to mention him, and we've been meaning to. I think it's been about asshole. He didn't mean that. It's been about a month and a half since this was like first brought up, and we had been meaning to, and we've done so many podcasts since then. But it's just always, you have to understand that we exhaust ourselves. We literally like talk until we can't talk anymore in these podcasts. So by the time it gets to the end, we're all just like eager to end it.
We hate
and then
what
also
we do.
yeah, basically. And then Peter, you've now I think maybe those of us with very few exceptions don't go to fast food, but I think you universally don't even bother going at all. You haven't at all gone to do any fast food, have you?
Not recently, no.
Not recently?
No.
No.
Does that mean that you did?
What?
Does that mean that you did? Did you break your Wendy's streak?
No, I have not had Wendy's, no.
Are you sure?
Yes, I am very sure.
That does not sound convincing.
I am 100% sure. 1,000,000,000%, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's also been another frustration. It's just seeing, you keep mentioning, Alexis, that place that Peter and I live, which is the Imperial Valley. And we keep mentioning the frustrations, the endless frustrations that are happening. I know people who are in close contact with one of the local eateries here called Johnny's. They shut down for a few days because their employees, guess what, tested positive.
That's
and
nuts.
then a day passes and like, okay, we're open again. Come back. What?
Like,
I get it. I love Johnny's too, but damn.
But even from the business perspective, like, I understand. I feel, I'll feel real bad for like small businesses, right? Because
right,
they are hit hard right now.
Yeah.
And again, I think the failing is ultimately due to the government.
Yeah,
of course, entirely. They
threw away the plan that Obama had set up, and replaced it with nothing, which they're really good at.
Yeah, they've done that
really
several
good at
times.
doing that. They left most Americans high and dry financially, and they've just put a strain on citizens financially to try and get them to force them to go back to work. Like, oh man, you can't pay to survive. Yeah, we should really open up and get back to work then, huh?
And like the crazy part is like people agreeing. Like, that's what I don't get.
It's because they're being coerced. They're being financially coerced, which is, I think, part of the agenda by the controlling power in the country, which is the Republican Party. And that is, they're the ones who are in power, mind you. They have all the power in the country, and they could have had a massive stimulus bill, the ones that we all, I think, most of our families received because of the emergency. However, what's not often discussed is that we kind of got the crumbs, because the majority of that money went to people like AT&T and Time Warner and these big corporations who don't need that money.
Exactly.
They got the most of it. And then, of course, they don't want to justify having to keep paying people for not working, because you have to understand, from an ideological standpoint, that goes against what conservatism is. It's all about you pulling yourself up by your bootstraps and working no matter what and everything. And as we've discussed in the last few weeks, it's just become clear that many people in this country have just been coerced by a death cult. Because I don't know what else you call.
I don't know if coerced is the right word.
Well, the way that I'm using coerced is they've been convinced, right? They've been kind of recruited into that kind of. Well, yeah. Am I being too kind by using coerced?
Coerced makes it sound like they were like given something, or like
Okay.
Whereas like brainwashed makes it very. It's very much this mentality of, if you should work and work and work and then die, and you should feel good about it. And if nothing good ever happens to you, it's all on you. Who's I can't remember where this quote starts, but it's like, socialism for the rich, rugged individualism for the poor.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. But then people really buy into it, and they're like, it's the same thing with like the brainwashing of the freedom thing. I have freedom. I'm not going to wear a mask.
Oh my God, we are
does
literal.
Freedom have to do with this? It's
Peter is referring
things.
to those things that you've been seeing every single day that are going viral and trending on social media, and that is, and I think that the Guardian had this excellently put in a headline, and that is, the U.S. is now entrenched in a culture war with masks. We're now in a culture war with masks. How many headlines have we read in the last week where workers have literally been beat the crap out of them for asking people or have been shot at or stabbed or whatever, or punched or coughed at because they've asked people to wear a mask or to leave.
And this is with already like 100,000 dead, or at least close to. Yeah. There is a certain percentage of individuals in this country I would qualify as being, and this is me putting it lightly, in a death cult. You cannot convince them, you can't reach them morally either, because they're willing to throw themselves over the cliff while they throw you over the cliff. Like that's really what it is when they're like, I don't care, I'm gonna run around, I don't think the disease is real, I think the numbers are fake, I'm gonna cough in your face, you can cough in my face. Like, it's crazy. I'm sorry.
It's like, how does one think that the numbers are fake though? Like, that's what
there's never any. It's like a cult. It really is. Whatever just gets passed down from crazy Trump or what other sections of conservative leadership, it's just parroted, and then that's it. And it's like, well, what about all these scientists saying that it's wrong? Well, then they're part of the liberal agenda. Fuck scientists. Like, yeah, and it's like, well, if you're literally saying fuck scientists, no conversation can be had. There is no way to ever reason with you. We do not live in the same reality. If you're at that point, I don't even know what to do. It's like, okay, yeah, I don't know.
It just seems like an endless and almost, even at times, pointless conversation to have. This entire ordeal is an eye-opening experience for the kind of people that we really are and the kind of people that surround us. And we've had culture wars with masks, protesting the lockdown. They get what they want, the lockdown protesters, very easily. The states reopen.
I'll put it this way. Real quick, I'm going to cut you off because I'm a Bernie bro. Just to connect it to what we talk about here, which is film.
Yeah.
I've watched, and I know you love disaster films, and I've watched so many disaster films, like alien films, like just a lot of the films where like a massive calamity happens, and it's like films where it's like how humanity responds, right? And I don't know if there's any film where humanity has acted as stupidly as reality right now. like that whole independence thing where it's like the Americans are leading the way, da 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 da. Like, even fucking Arrival. The fact that it took them that long to get the crazies to try and blow up the alien ship is astounding. In reality, that would have been some day one shit. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
I think the main theme of what you're saying is, it is so depressing. to see that the crazies dictate what happens.
Mm-hmm. And like, what I'm saying is, this isn't even a like, oh, you know, everyone that has a difference of opinion than me is crazy, or this or that. Like, I'm not even talking about difference of opinions. Like, there's a section of this country, and it's mostly on one side of the aisle, that is just straight up in a death cult. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And it's very, very hard to just get basic things done with that, as we saw these last 4 years. But, you know, God forbid you're in a crisis like you are now, because then that really shows you the toll of that, which is 100,000 dead and maybe 100,000 more.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what we talked about in the beginning. Like, what's sadder? The fact that there were 100,000 dead, or that nobody cares?
Or there's 100,000 dead and people are just out here protesting that this isn't real and they want to go back to work. Thousands upon thousands of people. Look at the headlines. 100,000 dead. Oh shit, the beach is open? Chill, bro. Let's go catch some waves. Like, oh my god. Like, I see footage. People freaking shoulder to shoulder for as far as the eye can see at all these beaches. And it's like, what can you do? At this point, really, what can you do? Without an effective government, it doesn't seem like it's gonna happen. More and more death. Let's talk about Scoob. Scooby-Doo.
So, a lot of what we just discussed is actually going to come into play when it comes to talking about the film industry and everything, when we get to that discussion. So now that we have that out of the way with, let's go ahead and transition into what we've been catching up with this week on media, whether it be TV shows or movies. Who would like to go first?
You want to go first, David? You said you had a long list.
Yeah, I mean, it's just mostly stuff that I've been rewatching. I haven't.
Well, yeah, if you're watching it, you're watching it.
Yeah. Well, two new things. One is What We Do in the Shadows. It's great.
Shit's awesome, right?
It's hilarious, and I think it's renewed for season 3.
Better fucking be.
I know, right? 20 seasons of that. I'll have it. And then I saw the first 2 episodes of Rick and Morty. The new season.
You've never... Oh, the new season. I was going to say, you've never seen Rick and Morty?
No. I've seen it.
But I thought you were smart. You know? Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, no, I saw the first 2 episodes and they're all so great. Oh my gosh, it's so hilarious. And then from what you're watching, I don't know if you remember, Alexis, the last time I talked about what I was watching, it was Eureka. I finished that.
No.
No, but that's a no. No, yeah. I was watching a show called Eureka, which is about a guy who stumbles into a small town that's filled with like the smartest people in the world.
So they all saw Rick and Morty.
So they all saw Rick and Morty, yes. Yeah, I saw that, and it's still a great show. I loved it. And then I rewatched a cartoon called Ben 10.
Oh, I remember that fucking show. They cheated, though.
How?
Because at one point, he was no longer Ben 10. He was like Ben Infinity.
No, but he saw like the first, like...
The original program.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know, we passed by like this toy that's like the new like Ben 10, and he was like, oh no, fuck that shit.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I did watch Extraction. Cool movie, fun action.
I liked it.
Yeah.
When did you watch this?
I saw it with Dad.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
He can watch movies without you, okay?
Yeah.
He
has
does.
his own
That's
life
what I
to lead.
mean.
Okay, dude. Oh my god. Seriously, guys, like, do you know how many shows I recommended to her? Okay, I told her to watch fucking Lost in Space, Doom Patrol. We still need to catch up on Harley Quinn. And oh god.
And what, she won't watch them without you, or what?
She just won't watch them. Seriously, I'm
She
saying.
just won't watch them.
Yes, I'm saying. I told her like Lost in Space. It's like the best sci-fi show ever. Like you need to watch it. I told her to watch The Magicians. It's one of the best fantasy shows I've seen. Oh my god.
You have time now, Alexis.
Yes.
It's hard.
No, she's rewatching. She's rewatching The Last Airbender for like the 10th time.
Oh my god. Did you like end it and then immediately restart it, or what?
That's exactly
For
what
the
she
third
did.
time.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's a bit much. Just a tiny bit.
And then oh well, this is one we were watching together. Me and Ali were watching the new show Stargirl.
Ooh, that's
Yes.
How is it?
it's
Oh,
really good.
I think you still have my DC Universe login.
That
The
still
first
exists?
Yeah.
Holy
That's where
shit.
that's where it's showing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where it's premiering and stuff?
Yeah.
Is it like week to week?
Yeah.
Oh,
the
okay.
the second episode came out today, actually, this morning. So
It's really good. Like the first scene in the first episode, I was just like, "What is this?" Like it's really good.
Yeah.
Well, you can't watch it till you finish Doom Patrol, so...
I never really wrote down what I was watching, but
I think that's it.
yeah.
That's kind of basically what you're doing.
I saw an Amazon original show, Upload. I don't know if you guys heard of it.
I think I've seen commercials for it.
Yeah, it's about people uploading their consciousness to like the internet and just basically living their afterlife. It's actually really good. I thought it was just gonna be about like living life to the fullest, like I really thought it was gonna be like a knockoff The Good Place or something. But no, there's like actually a bit of a mystery going on in the show, and it's really interesting. I recommend it.
Cool. If I ever get Amazon, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Is that it?
I think so.
What about you, Moreno? Just The Last Airbender?
Well, last week I was gonna say I watched all of Sex and the City.
Wait, the show?
The show. I think every season was like 10 or less episodes. So it wasn't even like that much. It's kind of weird. Is it even
a good show?
It's okay. Like my thing is that for like a really, really long time, I like wanted to watch all of the HBO shows, and like The Sopranos, Sex and the City, that one where he works at like like where they take the dead people, the morgue,
6 Feet Under.
Yeah, like that one and things like that. So I just started with Sex and the City. It's really interesting. I don't know. I don't really think that it holds up. Like, I think there's a lot of issues, but whatever. Well, it's because, like, I feel like a lot of, like, people, like, swore by that show. And, like, looking at it now, like, 2020 stuff, like, I'm just like, okay. I don't know about that, but okay.
I never got it. But I mean, I don't think the show was ever geared
and, like,
towards
the main
me. character,
like, what's Sarah Jessica Parker, like, everybody loves her, and I'm just like, dude, like, she's such a bitch. Like, I don't get it. I don't know. It's weird.
Maybe that's just city life.
I guess. What else? Well, yeah, just The Last Airbender for like the 30th time.
Holy shit. Move on to Korra, for the love of God. At
Well,
least.
the thing is, okay, I like wanted to watch The Last Airbender like this whole time, but I was like too lazy because we only have a DVD player in the living room, and I like laying down in my bed and like watching stuff. And so now that it's on Netflix, I don't have to do that. And Korra, I have to go and put in the DVD player. So that's why I have it. But I don't know what else. I think that's it. I watched like a couple of movies. I think I watched like this one movie that came out last year. I forgot the name. I'll mention it next time. But it was kind of, it's like a girl. She like goes through a breakup and like, but they were together for like 9 years, and like she goes out with her friends for like the last time because she's moving to San Francisco, and it's like the day before, like, or the day after she broke up with her boyfriend. But it's like a comedy. I thought it was gonna be like super cheesy, but it's actually really good. But
sounds super cheesy.
Yeah, but like not. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Do you want me to go or you, Alexis Soto?
How long is your list?
It's a couple. Why?
I'll go.
Okay.
So...
Wait. Steven Spielberg.
How did you guess? Well, I told you. That's why you know.
I mean,
I told you. I was trying... Well, I'm trying to finish my Spielberg rewatch, as I've been talking about for like months at this point. And I'm avoiding rewatching Schindler's List, only because I think it'll just kill me. So I put on a fuzzy warm Spielberg movie called Saving Private Ryan. To commemorate, of course, Memorial Weekend.
I would have just skipped both those.
I hadn't seen this one in years. At least I finished it, unlike Kyle, who's never finished that movie ever.
He fell asleep during Saving Private Ryan.
Yep. I think he even said that he fell asleep while watching that amazing 30-minute opening sequence.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? Oh no.
That's the one I rewatch all the time. Like, I actually haven't seen like all of Saving Private Ryan. I don't think so. But like, that's the one that I watch like every
the opening
time,
sequence,
even if it's on TV.
No, it's great. This is the first time I watched it because I acquired the 4K, and it was beautiful. It's honestly an incredible movie that I think, better than anything else I've seen, really manages to capture what it's like to be in a war zone like that. Like, holy crap. Just like, similarly to like what happened in that opening sequence in this movie, and then you also compare it to that awful sequence in Schindler's List when they're rounding up the Jews and they're going to kick them out of their like shanty towns or whatever. Just... It's amazing to me how you can capture so many things happening at once on camera, like on a scale like that. And then, of course, it being chaotic. Like, how do you direct chaos like that to where it feels so real and raw? So, yeah, it's just an incredible film. And I think what I appreciated more this time is that there was actually more going on with... the characters, because of the mission that they're on. I felt like I got more character out of this than any other like World War movie. And I feel like that's kind of why I don't like World War movies, because they're all just kind of spectacle and not really about anything but like blowing things up.
A lot of the recent ones have been
Dunkirk and what's it called? 1917?
1917. I know I know they're like I know they're technical marvels and stuff like that. But I don't know. I just couldn't connect with either of them beyond that, and even then it's like, okay.
And I feel like we really take Tom Hanks for granted. Like, I forget how good he is in that role. I mean, he's one of those people that can do an everyman. And he just feels so, I don't know, like a comforting father of some sorts, like in anything he's in, but especially
only
that
Hanks
movie.
I stan is Chet Hanks.
Okay. All right. No, but it's an incredible film, and it kind of got me emotional watching it. It's just like, damn it, you get me every time, Spielberg. I'm just a sentimental schluck. Like even the beginning when old Ryan is just like walking up to the memorial, and it's like, fuck, you got me. It's a home that hits. It's a home. It's a movie that hits home, emotionally, and I can't think of a war movie that I think I like better than that. Like a straight up war film.
Rogue One.
Bastards.
Rogue One, sure.
Inglourious Bastards, but okay.
Well, Inglourious Bastards is not necessarily a war movie, is it?
I have a I don't even know if it's controversial take. Tarantino doesn't do genre films. He only makes Tarantino films.
He's his own genre.
That's the only genre he makes. So he'll make a Tarantino film that just happens to be set during World War II. Or he'll make a Tarantino film that happens to be set during the American Civil War.
Can't the same thing be said about Nolan, who we're going to discuss in a bit?
No.
Okay.
Because I think there's a difference between having a distinct style and like making the same kinds of films, so to speak. I know I'm explaining it wrong, but like I think the best way to explain it is like Spielberg. Spielberg obviously has certain directorial techniques that you can see across every single one of his films that makes it very distinctly Spielberg. But Roger Rabbit is not Schindler's List. Or no, he didn't direct Roger Rabbit, did he?
No, he produced it.
E.T. is not Schindler's List. You know, you notice certain styles within the film where it's like, oh yeah, this is Spielberg here, that's Spielberg there, but they are very different films, very different genres. Whereas I feel with Tarantino, every single one of his films is the same genre,
is in the same world.
Except, well, the strongest argument is like maybe Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Maybe,
but even then, no.
One of the things that I found fascinating when I was looking at the behind the scenes of the making of Private Ryan is Spielberg was talking about the process, because he was basically making 3 movies at the same time, not just like in developing, but like filming. So he said that he had 6-week breaks in between. So he filmed Lost World, then he had a 6-week break, and he filmed Amistad, and then another 6-week break, and then he filmed Private Ryan.
But during that 6-week break, like you're doing prep. Like you're going over the script, you're thinking like, okay, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. No, that's I don't know. The 90s sucked out all of his talent. I don't know what to tell you.
And so yeah, I watched that, and I also just I recently, I think in the last hour or so, I watched the latest episode of the Disney Gallery show, which is a documentary of the making of The Mandalorian, which is not, of course, a show that I care about, but I oddly find the documentary much more enjoyable as a show than the actual show itself.
The technology is cool.
That's what so the episode 4 is called Technology. That was a great episode.
Yeah.
That was a great episode because it just shows you the fact that things have advanced so much. So they have this thing called the volume where they film, and it's like filming on a set, but it's all basically like these green it's LED screens basically. And it's so picture realistic that it feels as if you're on a set. So imagine a green screen or a blue screen, but only this time the actors can see what's there. instead of imagining.
Crazy. Yeah. No, I finished that episode in like 5 minutes because every time they talked, I'd like skip ahead. Like, I don't want to fucking hear your voice. I want to see the screen. Because there'd be times where like they're like filming the screen,
right?
And then it moves, and I'm like, holy shit! Like they move away, and it's like, oh my god! Like, and like you realize what it is. Like it's so realistic.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool tech. Does it make worth? Because that tech only is alive because of that shit live action Lion King. Is it worth it?
We don't know yet. I mean, that movie came out last year, so we have plenty of years, hopefully, of movies, and we'll see if it is worth it.
It will for sure be in at least with Disney's stuff.
Well, imagine for those who didn't see it. So the volume is this 360 atmosphere, and the ground is the parts of what you would create a set, but the entire roof and the 360 surrounding is just encased in these massive LED screens. And it looks...
I know. They did... I think I know what you're talking about. What's it called? The Lion King Broadway show? They kind of did something like that with it, where you're like in the middle, but you're watching the play around you. Okay. It was kind of like with VR, but like I want to say that they use the same technology. I don't know. Maybe.
This one is, I mean, the most advanced thing I've seen. Like it blows you away because even the people who were working on the set couldn't tell what was real and what wasn't. Like it was so real that they were even talking about one time that they thought that the set caught on fire, but it was actually part of the LED like TV screen that was there.
I freaking believe that because again, I'd be staring at the screen and they'd move the screen and I'd be like, oh shit. Like I didn't realize this was part of the ground because they'd have like the floor, like they'd have some set like dirt on the floor basically,
right? Like
if they're on Tatooine, and then that around them. So you look at it and you think it's all LED and then it would move and you're like, oh shit. Like, no, this is real. And then this other stuff is the screen. It must look really cool to be in it.
I imagine though it makes the show a little bit more cost effective because it's not that expensive to do.
Well, probably the most expensive thing was the technology, right? But then once it's created, like it's infinitely cheaper.
Right.
Because you just have the screens, you know, throw up some fucking sand dunes and then just put the two characters in the middle of the screens and then shoot it. And then I imagine it's a lot easier for characters or actors to get in character and react to shit.
Yeah.
Because that's always been the biggest issue with CG is like
Carl Weathers was
fake,
making the point that it makes it easier for him to actually see it there instead of like having to pretend that it's actually there.
Mm-hmm.
The Mandalorian has a budget of $10 million an episode, right?
Oh shit! I thought you were gonna say $10 million a season.
I thought the whole season was $100 million, right?
Yeah,
isn't that how much money
expensive.
they put?
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah. It's a lot of money.
She turned into Larry the Cable Guy when she heard that price tag.
Oh my god. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see when the technology spreads to other projects.
Right. I also saw quickly Disney Plus is so desperate for stuff. They put this thing called Zenimation.
I watched the first 5 seconds of the first episode, and I was like, I'm done.
Is that what the sounds thing?
Yeah, it's ASMR or whatever. I put it on. I put it on last night trying to go to sleep. I turned it off.
Yeah.
I turned it off because it was stressing me out. It was doing the exact opposite. I was like, you know what? I don't need this. Turn this shit off. I'm done with it.
It's just like the first episode's water. And then it just shows every, like, all the water they've ever animated. And then they put
but only for Disney. I was so pissed off. I didn't even borrow anything from Pixar, which they have the wonderful underwater world of Nemo. I mean, you could have used that. I mean, okay.
Nemo. We gotta use the world from The Rescuers. Yeah, no, I'm they just really need content, and they're getting real fucking desperate.
I'm kind of tired of documentaries.
That's all it is. That's all they have. I mean,
they shouldn't have led with that. Like, half the shows that they led with were about how awesome Disney is. And
of
it's
course.
like, oh my god, just make good content. Just make good content. Because I'm running out of shit to see. I guess, yeah.
I also trying to see what else. Oh yeah, I couldn't help myself. I watched The Last Airbender in its entirety.
Yeah.
You're supposed to go 10 episodes at a time.
I couldn't.
I'm doing that.
I couldn't. I'll probably watch it again, maybe
3 times.
You know, it was just something to experience that again, especially after a long period of time. And I was watching the finale, and I was just getting so emotional about it, because when I think about that show and the things that it's trying to communicate to the audience, and the values and the lessons and the themes, you know, that is kind of what I would hope humanity would be. Like, all of the things that we were taught, at least raised with as kids, about how good the world is, how good people can be. You know, I feel like the Last Airbender really adheres to that kind of attitude and mentality better than anything humankind has produced in real life.
And Bending is sick as fuck.
It's in watching it again, particularly the finale, it kind of brought me back to the first time I had ever watched the finale on Nickelodeon all those years ago. And I remember thinking to myself, like, whoa, like, they really, really went above and beyond for this, and they put the perfect bow on this entire series. And it's like, at the same time, you're kind of upset that there aren't more episodes to binge through. It is, I feel, perhaps the single best show ever made, to where it serviced the story the best, and it ended at the right moment. I know that there were, I think, ideas and concepts for what a 4th season would look like, but after having seen the whole thing, like books 1, 2, and 3, like, I can't, like, it's just so hard to really continue after a finale like that. A finale like, you know, Return of the Jedi or Endgame, or well, let's say if Game of Thrones. Well, that's it. Forget that. It's just so hard to really top that or really go on after it. So, and it reminded me really what an important show this was for me. And my brother especially. This is like one of the first shows that we really like got into together, like way before, I think, Clone Wars or S.H.I.E.L.D. or other stuff like that. This was like a really special thing, and it's just so astounding to me how a decade after it aired, it is kind of even better than you remember it being. And I just feel like that this is the world sorely needs this. We needed this. I needed this.
Needed him most.
Yeah.
I needed this in my life. I got to tell you, I really needed this in my life.
That I sent you guys was the one about where Ira was talking about the 4 elements and like stuff, and then that chick is like, if you guys watch the show, I forgot what the heck she said.
And still ended up being racist, misogynistic, sexist. Like, the fuck is wrong with you?
I don't know. I love
yeah, you were
show.
sending angry posts.
I just love this show so much, and I want everybody to watch it because I just think that this show just like exudes like kindness and like
kindness, compassion, humanity, all of those things that we're lacking.
Yeah,
every day we see things that show us, God, how far have we fallen? How little capacity do we have to care for one another? Clearly, we have no capacity at all. But then you look at this show, and one of the things that's so remarkable about it is how gracefully it's aged. Unlike a lot of other shows from its time, it's not dated at all.
Mm-hmm.
This could have come out today
because it's based on like really, it's based on real things, real situations, real people, even if they're not real, like real cultures. That I think, obviously, it's
the only thing that I caught that perhaps wouldn't be in there if it was made today was Iroh throwing himself on a young lady, in season 1.
Oh, you saw that, right?
Yeah,
a little creepy.
But it's like at the same time though, that's kind of a trope that is shared by a lot of anime. A lot of anime shows, like there's the infamous Master Roshi from the Dragon Ball series, who is notoriously a pervert, but he's a lovable one, and it's played for a joke.
The lovable pervert has been a huge trope in a lot of media for a long time.
Right.
I'd imagine it's
for friends.
Yeah, I'd imagine
Barney.
it's going. It's wait, what the fuck, Barney? Okay. What was he doing to those
Barney Stinson?
kids? Okay.
Sorry.
Oh my god. It's a bad dinosaur. Yeah, I think that's a trope that's probably on its way out.
Yeah.
So, yeah. The times.
I feel that. I don't think they've done that recently with I know they brought back Dragon Ball in Dragon Ball Super, and they featured that character Master Roshi. I don't think they brought that element back with him from what I saw.
I'm the one nerd in the world that gives zero shits about what a Dragon Ball is or the Dragon Balls. So
Dude, oh my god, I can't tell you how
idea.
much I've loved it. That was my childhood. I love it. I still love it to this day.
I avoided it like the plague.
Even I liked it.
No.
Even Alexis liked it. I mean, that tells you something. I'm kidding.
Yeah, it tells me. It does tell me something, but okay.
Yeah. But it is an interesting conversation because I don't know. This show is so great. Like, it's always been one of my favorites. Like, if you asked me to make like a list of like my favorite TV shows of all time, Avatar would be in the top 5.
Same with the movie.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. No, fuck it. No.
The show is so good it saves the movie.
But here's the problem, though.
God.
The show is so good. What are they gonna do with the live action series?
That's so. Oh god, they shouldn't do it. They shouldn't do it. It's so stupid.
I agree, but I think like the best thing that they can do is make the episodes an hour long, and just keep 10 episodes a season. Because it's 20 episodes a season, the cartoon. So you can have the exact same story. You could probably like just switch some stuff around.
But I guess my thing is like, to me, remakes work best when you go at it either a completely different angle and do something completely different with it, which they clearly wouldn't do because that would anger fans and the creators are on it and all this. Or, to improve upon the source material that's already there.
Yeah,
there's no improve. You're not going to improve it. You're just not.
They can't improve the story, but I think they can enhance a few, just a few scenes. So, like, I remember when we watched it.
I don't know if it's worth it to see two scenes and ads.
The one thing, like, I noticed that kind of like in the cartoon is that episode where he goes to the Southern Air Temple or something, and he sees that other people have like completely destroyed the temple basically, and he gets pissed off about it. But in just like 10 minutes, he's like pissed off, telling them, "Why'd you doing this?" And then immediately goes, "Okay, you know what? You guys are cool," And then it just goes on to this battle. So like I feel like that episode, like if you make that an hour, it'll be perfect. Like you can have him really struggle, be super mad at him, and then maybe like add some more. Like maybe he can talk to the people living there and be like, "Hey, can you not do this? Like this is important because of this." Like talk
like
a
give
bit
more
more
information,
about a bit more information about his culture and the Air Nation,
because they clearly have. Like, they really thought this show out.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's no way that they... Like, some of the things that they wanted to include didn't make it on the show. Like, even we saw the audio commentary on the last... It was going to be the last 4 episodes, but we only got to 2 because then our mom kicked us out. But you could tell, like, how much love they have, like, the 2 creators, how much love they have for the show and how much they thought every single thing out. And they mentioned a lot, like a lot of the things that didn't make it, a lot of the things that they had to change for certain things.
This is my
Peter,
thing, though.
can you hold on real quick? This is important though, because I think we have to throw this out there just before Peter destroys what you're saying. Because I feel like
I wasn't going to destroy it completely, but okay, go ahead.
Well, that's where this usually goes. I want to put this out there because I'm not entirely sure on this question myself. Is this going to be the exact same story that are based on the exact same episodes on the exact same characters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's been confirmed?
It's a remake of The Last Airbender.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Live action, but through a show.
And the 2 main creators are a part of it.
Yeah.
This is my issue. 2 issues.
By the way, I'm like not 100% like okay with it either.
Yeah,
like,
same.
Yeah.
But like if they want to do it, I think they could take a chance of like what I just said about like adding more bits of information to it. But okay, well, one last thing I want to say. In the cartoon, they gotta in the live action remake, they gotta change up the dialogue. In the cartoon, it's very kid friendly. Like the automatic can say what the plot's gonna be, what the lesson's gonna be, and at the end they're like, "Oh yeah, maybe I won't do this anymore." Like it's a very kid friendly dialogue. Change that up, and then
maybe okay.
I know.
It just when you talk about they can change this episode, it kind of feels like saying this brushstroke is off, so we need to completely repaint the Mona Lisa. Like at this point, it's the fucking Mona Lisa. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
If there's a brushstroke off. And then also you talk about how like, well, maybe they can include stuff that they weren't able to include in the animated show. It's a television show. They won't be able to show as much as they did in the animated show because of the budget of its live action.
Yeah.
In fact, they're probably going to have to scale back a lot of things, like a lot, because there are some huge cities, huge scale battles, towns and a lot of visually amazing things, like, and then especially if you're gonna have airbending fights with all that CG that goes into it, like again.
I think when it comes to the budget, I think seeing everybody's reaction to it now, I feel like they're either gonna add on more or they're gonna
it doesn't matter how big a budget they give it to, it won't be enough to do justice to the level of what the animation did.
Yes.
Mr. Soto, do you have a question?
I'm just trying to get in here a word, can't get a word in edgewise. But I mean, all what you're saying though is very important. Interesting. We just mentioned this, but I wonder if only Netflix had something like the volume that we just mentioned on The Mandalorian, because that would be helpful, I think, to keep it cost effective for a live action version of this show, of The Last Airbender. That would be interesting.
Okay.
Yes?
Well, there's an easy solution to every one of these issues.
Okay.
Do you know what it is?
Well, I had more to say, but
Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish.
No, you say it. Just don't do it.
Do it. Just don't make it the last Airbender.
Yeah, that's what I was. That's like my ideal situation is to either make a movie based off of the Avatar that was an Airbender before Aang or Kyoshi.
Yeah, pick one of the old fan favorite avatars and do a show on that one.
Yeah. Like,
or
I think
maybe
those
just a
two
completely new one that you've never heard of.
Yeah.
And just tell
they could
their
totally
story.
do that. I think, I don't know if maybe like the Airbender might be fine because like Aang is an Airbender and it's like, oh, like he's the last one. Blah,
do
blah.
a fire one.
But the thing is, Roku comes out a lot, and you get to know his whole story in The Last Airbender. So I think it would
Roku.
I think it would be interesting to see an Earthbender.
Yeah,
because in Korra, like you see a Waterbender, you already saw. Like you basically get both Aang and Roku's story in The Last Airbender. And then to do another Airbender, I feel like it's gonna be repetitive, but it would be interesting because I feel like you get to see more of their culture, which we didn't get to see with Aang, but with Kyoshi, like it's a whole new like ball game.
Go to the fucking mountains, you know, shoot.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier, right? You just CG some like cityscape into the mountains.
That's actually I know the movie sucks, but the earthbending in the movie I think was done pretty good considering the rest. There was only like one scene, the one with oh my god,
6 people bending or doing
to move one rock, one small rock. But like I think the earthbending was done pretty well in the movie, except for that scene. So I feel like that might be interesting. Like to do The Last Airbender again is really scary. I
think it's just setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah. But
it's like if George Lucas came out in like 2000, like I'm gonna remake A New Hope.
But the only thing that's like giving me like somewhat of hope is the fact that the main creators are a part of it and they agree to do it because this is such like a big like part of them. I know the movie was made, but that was like Nickelodeon, you know.
You know, it'd be better too if they did a show following the events, because I know they had like a comic series that showed the events of the show.
No, because like it's interesting and stuff, but honestly, like, there's stuff going on, but you kind of get all of it in Korra. Like you get the ends of it in Korra.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. So it would be really repetitive. I know they're like remaking it, but like we kind of already know the gist of it.
Just go like 300 years in the past, Kyoshi.
Putting the creative stuff aside, if I'm Netflix, and as we've been discussing, they're investing heavily in Nickelodeon and Paramount because that's what, you know, since Disney dumped them, that's what they're going to get their gold mine of things in the next few years. I would think that a sequel series to the Last Airbender would be immensely popular. Looking at it from a financial standpoint, from a business standpoint, I would think that would be like a headlining event. Like here it is, the sequel series, the real, quote unquote, no shade thrown at Korra, but the real sequel series to The Last Airbender with all your favorites coming back for more adventures. I think that would be a big event that would get a lot of eyes on it.
I mean, yeah, I feel, obviously, seeing as how people reacted to the show coming onto Netflix, like, yeah, but when we watched the audio commentary with the last episodes, one of the things that they said from the beginning was like, we love that people want a 4th season, we love that people are fighting for a 4th season, but this was always supposed to be a 3-part story. This was always supposed to end. Because, and one of the things that they said was like, it's like, imagine you going up to somebody and being like, oh, I need to tell you this great story, and it never ends. Then it's not a great story. Like, it just turns into a, you
Endings
know what I mean?
are important.
Yeah. So that I like that they are very adamant as to say that, like, no, this is like the full story. Like, this is all we're getting.
Also, like a sequel series to the show, like the events that take place after the war. I guarantee you, though, people aren't gonna like that. Like the comics,
Yeah.
The reason why people like the comics is because it's very short, contained stories, and you just get snippets of like the old gang back together, like, and that's it. But to make like a series out of it, one of the like big things that people say that they hate about Korra is that the stakes aren't as big as The Last Airbender. And that's exactly what's going to happen in the sequel series.
Yeah, because nothing, like, stuff does happen with them in the future, but not, like...
Yeah, nothing's going to be as big as that moment.
It's going to be very, like, oh, okay. And it's very political. Like, a lot of politics happen after.
Yeah.
I got
that. We should probably get moving on to other things, but before that, I just wanted to say, to wrap up this conversation, is... a lot of the problems conceptually about transferring things from the animation medium to live action is that there just isn't any translating for a lot of different qualities of it. So, for example, a lot of the humor, a lot of the movements, a lot of the fantastical elements that the medium of animation lends itself to can't possibly be translated, at least in a way that would be convincing. So I just, I've yet to see a live action adaptation that is anywhere near what the animated version was. And I just feel like, there was a reason why it was animated in the first place and not live action. Not that the Avatar lore can't lend itself to live action projects, but there are just certain things that you can do in animation that are superior. Yeah. For example, as what Peter mentioned, the sheer scale of this series. I mean...
yeah.
It's too big.
Yeah.
How?
It can only exist as an animated show because you need the world building and the character development that happens over those 20 episodes and 3 seasons. But the only budget that can support that is a movie. But like a movie isn't enough time. So yeah.
So before we move on, Peter, what were the things that you've seen?
Oh yeah,
I know we're already at an hour and 15 minutes into this, but okay.
A lot of What We Do in the Shadows. Watching season 2. It's pretty fucking great. Pretty freaking hilarious. I love it. Everyone watch it. I cut up on the later seasons of Archer. I don't know if you guys have seen Archer. It's pretty funny. Yeah, I like that show. I don't know if you guys have heard of this one, Avatar: The Last Airbender. I watched a few episodes of that show. You guys should watch it. It's okay. I watched the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Kimmy versus the Reverend, Choose Your Own Adventure movie on Netflix.
What?
Yes.
I never heard of that. I think I only saw the first 2 seasons of like Kimmy Schmidt's Unbreakable, but what the heck?
It just came out. It's pretty damn funny.
Oh wow.
I liked it. It's a good time. Good time. I watched Solar Opposites, which is the Justin Roiland animated show exclusive to Hulu. It's like all the funny of Rick and Morty with none of the existential dread. So it's pretty good. I really like it. I think it's funny. Solar Opposites. And I also watched Devs. Do you guys know what Devs is? I recommended it I know no one watched it because I recommended it.
Oh, is it that one? Oh no.
Yeah, it's that one.
No, I don't know. With no, because you said you watched it all. I don't know.
Nick Offerman, Alison Pill. Most of it was written and directed by Alex Garland. It was his miniseries of what was the movies he did?
Ex Machina and Annihilation.
He also wrote Dread, Sunshine, and 28 Days Later. Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. Really good. Fucked up sci-fi, and it touches on a certain science fiction thing that I personally have like pondered and looked into, but I don't see addressed a lot at all in science fiction, and the fact that he touched on it I thought was really fucking cool. So yeah. Devs, check it out. That's it. That's all I've seen.
All right. So HBO Max is launching this week, the week of this recording. We're all going to have access to it.
How? Tell me.
The wonderful Kyle Lira has provided access to all of our Red Spotlight members.
Really?
Yes.
What was the sign-in again?
It's been given to you, Mr. Martinez. I'm not going to say it on air because everyone will have access to it. Come on. Who do you think you're talking to?
You don't think our loyal viewers deserve access?
Okay. So, what are you guys looking forward to watching? What is, Alexis, you've been asking for HBO for over a month now. So what are some things that you've been wanting to see? Or are you planning on watching anything with HBO Max this week?
Friends.
Oh my god.
Tell me. Oh my god. I don't like Friends.
I don't like you, but it's fine.
But it's fine.
No, I don't. Honestly, I haven't really looked into what's actually going to be there. Like the main things I wanted to watch on HBO was the things that I already said, and like things that were already on HBO.
Right.
But I don't know about the new stuff.
You're not looking forward to Elmo?
No. I know. I know that there's the what's it called? The Looney Tunes stuff. I feel like that might be kind of cool.
Right.
I haven't seen that in years. But yeah, I'm not sure.
Peter, have you looked into the classic films that they're going to have on HBO Max? Is there anything you're looking forward to or interested?
Specifically? No. I can't think of anything. I know if I looked at the lineup, I'd go oh, fuck that movie. I want to watch it. And, I'd probably watch it. But I don't think they've put out an official list of shit that's going to be on there, remember when Disney Plus was coming out and they tweeted out the banners for everything?
That was a massive Twitter thread.
Yeah, including Fuzzy Butt or whatever. What was it?
Fuzz Bucket.
They had Fuzz Bucket. That's some
Fuzzy. Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah. I don't know what Disney made back in the day. Okay, no judgment. But yeah, they haven't done that with.
Yeah, I haven't.
HBO Max.
The only thing I've seen is Friends and the Looney Tunes stuff. So. And
then I see the commercials and it's South Park, Rick and Morty, Elmo. It seems as if they're gonna have the DC stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's all of it or just the what's it called?
I feel all
Doom
of
Patrol?
it will be on there. Yeah.
Doom Patrol. I assume it'll have and I'm sure they'll have like a DC section, right? Similar to Disney Plus.
Well, Doom Patrol moved. Its new home is HBO Max from
Well,
DC.
they're
Universe.
premiering in both places, aren't they?
No, Doom Patrol is only
It's
on
gone?
HBO now.
Oh,
yeah.
shit. So
Yeah.
they just stole that shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, because
Um,
Stargirl, I didn't even know this, but I guess it's on the CW and the DC Universe app.
Is it going to be on the HBO Max as well? Or
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It seems like
highly
they
doubt
just
it will be.
took Doom Patrol. The one I really want on there is the Harley Quinn show, but yeah, you'd have to imagine there's going to be a DC section where they have the rights to all the movies, right? So like you'll have Aquaman,
Yeah, and a lot of them
Wonder
are not even
Woman.
on DC Universe, from what I understand.
Mm-mm.
why?
No.
Isn't that the point?
They
of
never
the
were.
DC Universe. I
The
don't
reason
get
why
that.
I'm paying for it.
You also get comics, don't you?
I
Yeah,
think at
yeah, I've been
some
reading
point
it.
what's going to happen is they'll move Harley Quinn over to HBO Max and the rest of it will just shut down.
Well, they
Yeah.
renewed Swamp Thing, didn't they?
No, what happened
No.
was Swamp Thing was canceled. They never even aired all the episodes. I think David and I talked about this about a year ago when this first happened, right? That they didn't
Yeah.
air all of the remaining episodes of that first season, and it was canceled
Damn.
almost out of nowhere. However,
That's
because the CW is in need of programming, is because they don't have any of their programs up in the fall because of COVID-19, they're taking whatever they can to just fill in the airtime. So they're taking in that first season of Swamp Thing and other shows that were canceled, like let's say stuff from CBS All Access that was canceled, and they're just putting it on air because they have nothing else to air.
That's how. I mean, I'm guessing that's how they got Stargirl. So
Yeah.
they got lucky with that so far.
awesome.
So it's not like it got renewed. It's just whatever was left of it is going to be dumped on CW as a mid-season replacement, if you will.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look at it first because they didn't really say what's gonna be on there, and all the shit that's dropping with it. Like, I don't care. Like the HBO Max exclusive shows, I don't give a shit. I mean, the Looney Tunes is kind of cool, but like, I don't know. And then beyond that, I don't know what shows they're making that I'll care about.
Well, we'll have plenty of time. We'll get to the Snyder Cut in a minute right now, but I know I'm looking forward to finally finishing that latest season of Doctor Who, which I haven't.
Oh, that's
Same.
right. They have the Doctor Who. Maybe I can finish it and then share my opinions
Maybe I
with
can start it.
everyone.
Wait, hold on a minute. You didn't finish, David?
Me? No, I haven't finished the newest of Doctor Who.
You haven't, or you have?
I haven't.
Haven't.
That is weird. Wait, okay. So the last time that we spoke, it was in the middle of the season after that big revelatory episode. But you haven't actually finished it.
I saw that big event part of the episode, and I think that's it.
Why? I just want to know because you and I are big Doctor Who people.
Yeah,
But it seems as if we can't be bothered to have actually finished it, and
I know.
it's just weird because Kyle's the only one that actually finished it. We didn't bother finishing it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm honestly, I'm kind of disappointed in this season. Like, I mean, we talked about it last time.
That was months ago at this point.
Yeah, who like the writer of the
Chris
show,
Chibnall, the showrunner.
Chris Chibnall, like his writing's weak. Like seriously,
Damn, gonna call him out like that?
hell yeah, dude. Oh my god, I went on this long ass rant of like he's not giving Jodie Whittaker like enough material to like give it her acting chops. You know, and it's annoying though too because everyone who talks about Doctor Who, they're like the one thing they go after. It's her. They're going like, oh, like throw away Doctor. She's not the Doctor. Blah blah blah. It's like, don't fucking blame her. The fucking writer's not giving her anything to work with.
Yeah, David and I did this podcast early into the season, months back, about the issues we've had with him overall as a writer, and then our previous issues from the previous season, which was season 11, and that some things that we're carrying over. What I kind of suspect happened with season 12 is Chibnall kind of relied. Oh, God, I hope it doesn't end up being as bad as he is, but kind of like doing what J.J. Abrams does and just kind of retconning everything for the sake of spectacle and revelatory reveals. Mm-hmm. And that's, I fear that was the direction that it went in. And I don't know. I think I stopped watching because I just stopped. Yeah. I don't know. But I'll watch it back when HBO Max, and then David and I will sit down and we'll review it. I know we have S.H.I.E.L.D. coming up this week, right? It starts this week. So we'll be doing that for the next, 13 weeks? So, yeah, we have a lot of, and then it's a lot of stuff that we have coming up to review shows. But yeah, from what I understand, Kyle liked it, but he pretty much confirmed that it was a big retcon. Yeah. Which I have mixed feelings on because, like, is that the best it can do? Is just do a retcon to save this version of the show? Mm-hmm. It's not good. Yeah. And I'm concerned. But that's not to say that there aren't good aspects of it. But Peter, by all means, help yourself to the rest of it. Because, like, when you stopped watching it, that was like, 10 seasons ago at this point?
Yeah.
Dang.
It was like season 2?
I was on season 2. I was like maybe halfway through season 2.
From the beginning?
Yeah. Well, not the beginning. When I said, okay, I'm going to watch Doctor Who, I went, should I start at this remake season sometime in 2000, whatever? Or shouldn't I really go back to the beginning in the 1960s and start there and watch from there?
No, you shouldn't.
And
trust me, you shouldn't, because I can share with you from like a Doctor Who YouTuber who lays it out brilliantly, the complete differences from the old version and the new version. There is a through line, there is a continuity, but they're so different. Like, immensely. The differences are vast. Like, it's almost kind of impossible. It's like how Peter says, like, it's kind of hard to, like, put the original trilogy and the prequels together in the same universe because they kind of are clashing with each other. There are similarities, but it's just like, it's a lot harder to watch the older series because, first of all, a lot of the episodes were lost to time. A lot, like, the files were burned.
Crazy to me.
They're just lost. There's audio versions of them, but they're just lost, so you can't keep up with it. And then the structure of it was also different because there were, from the 60s all the way, I think, to when it went off the air in the late 80s, like, the episodes, the storylines were like almost entirely stretched out to like 4, 5, 6, maybe sometimes 7, 8 episode arcs. Where a lot of those episodes weren't necessarily justified for what the story was. So it could be a lot of meandering. It could be a lot of nothing going on. It could be downright difficult to watch it at times. Like, it is vastly different than what the series is from what Peter was watching it. So I would recommend, if you want to watch the old series, I would probably want to have, like, at least an appreciation for the new series first, because if you just watch from the 60s, you're not going to get into this at all. You're just not. I've watched some of those.
What's the beginning? Is it David Tennant?
No.
No.
Far from the beginning.
No, it's not the beginning, but the new version of Doctor Who, which began in 2005, does a good job of, like, getting you into, like, what this is. It resets the scales, and, like, you can start from there and never watch anything old.
I don't know. When I started there, it still seemed like a lot of shit went on.
I say that now, having, like, watched the whole thing and have a much more deeper understanding. But of course, there was a little bit of a disorienting factor where you're like, wait, am I in the middle of something that I just like? It makes you feel that way. But the thing about it is that there's this big plot line with with him being the last of his people, but that's introduced in that episode. All the previous things, all the decades of material prior to that episode, that was not introduced at all. That wasn't part of it. So,
well, I'll put it this way. When I watched the first season, I enjoyed some of it, but there's like this build up to the end where he has to sacrifice himself and regenerate whatever. And I think I rewatched
Isn't
the
that
last.
Like every like.
Yeah. But I rewatched the last episode of that season like twice. I don't know what the fuck was going on. I don't. They
it's like
set
when
up
you
this.
read a book and you read a chapter and you're like, what? So
but they set up this like mystery, and then like. They just
Peter,
I don't understand the explanations, and then
your sensibilities don't. Let me just tell you this from what I understand. Your sensibilities only worsen the experience of this show for you. I think you're getting in the way of it because let me tell you why. It's not that complicated. It really isn't, and you're making
like it is though. Like every fucking episode, they go through long tangents on why they can't do this or can't do that. And then the very next episode, they just fucking do it. And it's like, oh no, this could fix it in 2 seconds, but we can't do that because the fucking, the time shift.
They play fast and loose every single episode. Some would say that's a charm of the show.
It feels like the whole thing reboots every episode. It's weird. I don't know. It's hard, but it's like, how do you get into... Because there's like extreme Doctor Who fans, like where you get all into the world and this and that, and it's like I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's left or right. Like it just seems to change on a dime whenever they want it to change.
That's kind of the history of the show because it itself has gone through very. At sometimes ludicrous transformations.
But then how do you know the difference between good Doctor Who and bad Doctor Who?
Don't even ask that question because if you think the Star Wars fans are bad, those Doctor Who fans would probably tear you a new one about like what's good and what's bad.
But there's at least entry points for Star Wars. I don't know if there's entry points for Doctor Who. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
You seem to have...
I'll probably just watch the David Tennant stuff because I remember when he started watching it from the beginning, or like when he first started watching it, that was like the only interesting part to me. And then after that, I was just like very confused and I didn't know what was going on and it just was kind of boring.
Well, it just feels so up its own ass over like the lore and everything that's going on. But
I love how Kyle is never here to respond to this.
But then none of it makes sense.
But you guys are here. You guys aren't even saying anything.
Oh,
well, honestly, I can't speak for you two. I can't speak for what your experiences are. Only I can say is that I didn't feel that way.
Yeah,
you know, like
same. I'll say this. I don't think it's gonna sound bad, but like in terms of plot of Doctor Who, like it's gonna get weird and it's probably gonna be inconsistent.
Let me just say this: as a long time,
but they make
Doctor
a big deal about like these are the rules, you can't cross them.
I never saw that. I never saw that. Like I never saw.
Let me tell you something. Like I accepted from the very beginning that this show was kind of going to do that all the time. It was just like, oh, here's a crazy explanation, throw it out, something else happens, and then they'll fix it some other way. Like that's not why I watched the show, and it was never a distraction for me. I like the characters, I like the actors, I like the storylines for why I watched that series.
It's all the character development.
They're okay.
Okay. It's called the difference of an opinion. Okay, but like, I mean, I can't make you like the characters for what they are, but like, you know, it's
the companion thing's a little weird.
for Doctor Who, it's all about the character development, and you see it like all the time. Whenever there's a new companion, they go like, "Oh my god, we're going on this big adventure." Then they realize, "Who the heck am I going on an adventure with?" And then they kind of realize like, "Oh, you're the sweetest person ever," or something like that, and it's like you're so damaged.
Let me just say this: it wasn't a hard thing to swallow, as it is apparently for both of you.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, I mean, that's how the world works, right? It just didn't occur to me, but it seems as if you two are having like, this is Les Mis all over again for both of you, it seems like. So we'll just go ahead and leave it there. So for HBO Max. But we should mention the Snyder Cut of what's happening. So we discussed this last week. That's a thing now that's happening. Thank you, HBO Max, I guess, whoever you want to thank.
Do you have the details?
Yes. So from what we understand, though, they're getting a budget of $20 to $30 million, perhaps more, but that's how the trades are reporting it, for Zack Snyder to come back and finish his version of the movie. Because here's the funny thing. Okay, so they need money for special effects, added in scenes. They're not
shooting any new scenes.
No, let me clarify. They're not going to shoot anything new that we know of, but in the report there was the option for the actors to come back and do voiceover work if necessary. So that was explicitly stated in the report. And stuff like that. And when it's going to come back, when it finally is ready to be aired, it'll be in either 5 to 6 episode installments that'll air weekly, probably following Disney Plus's model, which would be a different experience than, of course, than watching a film. But, that being the case, one of the things that's interesting is we'll get to the whole like culture war about this Snyder Cut thing that is just weird and annoying in a bit, but focusing on what this is, it is interesting that, the most interesting thing about this whole thing is finding out how little of it was actually finished, because in the report itself, it firmly established that the cut that Zack Snyder had all these years was a shoestring cut. Like, the majority of the visual effects were not even there. They weren't even worked on at all. And so, like, when we talked about it last week, Peter and I were saying, well, why spend the money? Just assemble it and put it on there. If it's done, it's done. Just put it there. Apparently, it wasn't done. They had nothing, apparently. Like, what they had was just like I don't know, like storyboards or just something in place of what would be there. Like it was nothing. So that's why they're going to go back and spend this additional money to finish the visual effects. I didn't think it would get that far. I really didn't think that Warner Brothers would spend any more money on Justice League, much less Zack Snyder. So that was, something that was just a surprise, that they were actually going to invest in something like this. And then that's not even to mention all the other things. Like when Zack Snyder was working on that movie, like we all remember that it was supposed to be a part 1. Mm-hmm. Like there was at one point like a 2-part Justice League movie that Zack Snyder was working on. From what I've been reading, apparently this version that'll come next year is going to feature Darkseid.
Yeah.
How? When we've like,
there'll be a shot.
Take it. You guys take it. Thoughts?
Me and David were talking about this earlier because I didn't really know like the full details. But at the end, basically what I told him was just like, this is really like pointless. Like, I don't understand.
People devoted their lives to this.
It's just like this movie already came out. It sucked. Like, get over it. I'm sorry. Like, I'm heartbroken that it sucks so bad. But like, it is what it is. And to get like, and like the thing that like pisses me off is like people are still gonna complain about this crap. It's like, you are fighting to get this movie that's going to be another piece of crap because it's like bits and pieces here and there put together, and you are going to complain about that too. And it's like, just don't do it.
Well, it exposes a couple of falsehoods, right? For one, there was never a finished version of it. There was an assembly, but it was nowhere close to finish. And then also, as we just mentioned, this movie was not meant to be one film in its entirety. So how they're going to rework that without filming additional scenes, which is that to me is a kind of, how do you reconcile that? How do you not film additional scenes with the actors you have if it's not what you intended in the first place? So how you make that work, I don't know. Which is interesting because I was under the impression that they were going to film more scenes, and I was kind of excited to see what that would be for Ezra Miller, considering how his career has kind of, been,
choke out Darkseid.
That would be funny, because I know that we talked about it a few weeks ago about how Amber Heard might have been dismissed from Warner Brothers, but what about Ezra Miller? Since he's in 2 franchises, isn't he in Warner in the Harry Potter one and then also in the DC one? So what's going on with him?
Going on, huh?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't think J.K. Rowling would want to dismiss him for something as simple as beating up somebody. I mean, because I don't think, I'm not taking a side in between Depp or Amber Heard.
He didn't beat anyone, okay? He just kind of hugged her neck a little bit with his hands.
I'm not taking a side in between Amber Heard or Johnny Depp. I'm not gonna touch that. But I will say is, even when the appearance was that Depp beat up Amber Heard, J.K. Rowling didn't care. So I wouldn't think that she would care about Ezra Miller.
Mm-hmm.
When we know that Ezra Miller did do what he did, whereas with Depp, people... It's a complicated issue, that whole situation.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting with this is that it's not going to be a film.
It's not, yeah.
It's that's what's funny. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be a 6-part thing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Probably half an hour. Or
each. Yeah.
Maybe 6 hours? I don't know. I
don't think it'll be 6. I would think maybe it would be
half
3 hours. 3 hours tops.
3.5. Maybe.
How long was the extended version of BVS, since you saw that, Peter?
About 3.5.
Okay, so maybe 3.5 hours.
But I guess my thing is that did not make BVS better. And I remember so many people claimed they made it better.
Yeah.
They made it worse. It was just
serious?
longer. Yes. Oh, it was so dumb. I did not like it. It's just bullshit on top of bullshit. Now, to be fair, do I think it will be better than the movie we got? Yeah. It'll definitely be more entertaining, no matter what, right? Just because everything surrounding going into it. But it just feels like most of it is just gonna be I don't know. I feel like I already know what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Just extra scenes.
It's not gonna be good, but it could be interesting, I think, is kind of where we're at.
Yeah.
I know that there was a lot of Ray Fisher content.
I forget he was a character in that.
Yeah. So they'll probably add all that back in. Yeah, I don't know. Just add in more character of them interacting.
Remember that one of the issues that Justice League suffered from, at least the Whedon version of it, was how fucking saturized everything was.
Oh yeah, they're gonna turn it back to black.
Yeah,
they're gonna get rid of all the red.
Oh man!
But this not Avengers, Justice League. From what I heard, it was meant to be a part 1.
Right. Mm-hmm. We talked about that on this show, I think, for weeks back in the old days.
The whole, I think they were gonna win against Darkseid, but then they tease, what's his name? Very Avengers-esque. But then,
We mean Steppenwolf?
Yeah.
Steppenwolf and then T's Darkseid.
Okay, yeah, you're right. But then they like lose in the next one, and then that's when it's like, you know, Mad Max Batman, like Darkseid comes and just annihilates them, and then they send back the Flash in time. Like there was this planned whole thing, overarching story, I guess Zack had planned.
We should
is that what the whole Ezra Miller thing in BBS was about?
Lois is the key.
Yeah. The whole Lois is the key thing. Because I think they were basically going to go whole Injustice Gods Among Us.
Yeah.
Where like they
like
kill what's her name, and then he goes Mr. Bad Guy. So then the world's destroyed, so Batman sends them back in time. But then that time they prevent Lois from dying, and yeah, it was gonna be a whole thing, like 5, the way Zack Snyder said it, like 5 movie arc planned up to be this whole thing, which I mean, cool, but again, this is why I keep saying I don't like having your shit planned out doesn't really mean anything, because I saw like 3/5 of that plan, and I hated 3/5 of it. And it certainly, you know, floats together to a certain extent, you know, and I could tell that this was all the same person and the same vision. It was just shit to me. So
I remember those days. I was just so confused about why people would praise Zack Snyder for anything, because at that
I like Zack Snyder. I do.
I don't like any of his movies that I've seen. I mean, I've only seen Man of Steel.
Ones.
I've seen 300. I've seen
300's awesome.
BVS, and I'm like, I don't care about anything. Very
homoerotic. I love it.
I don't like his style. I just don't like his style, and to me, I found at least BVS to be incredibly incoherent, and I found Man of Steel to be lightweight. There were some good things about it, but I don't remember the movie. And then Warner Brothers was all in, and we shouldn't forget that there were a couple of things, like long before a tragedy happened in his personal life with his daughter, you know, was gone. Warner Brothers wanted him gone.
I'm pretty sure Warner Brothers just used that as an excuse.
Yeah, and I think we said that at the time when that was going on.
Obviously, the way he's acted ever since then makes it very clear,
right?
He did not want
to leave,
or someone else to finish it.
Which we know is a trend, because the same thing happened with David Ayer's Suicide Squad, where he had his version of the movie and then they completely recut it. The story was they handed the movie to a trailer editing company to recut Suicide Squad to make it more like the trailer that was cut.
Yeah, and then now the unfortunate or fortunate, depending how you see it, consequences of this being announced is a lot of other movie movements are like, haha.
So, for example, I mean, there's already been interesting tweets from David Ayer about doing a David Ayer cut.
He saw that it happened, so he's like, "Oh boy, here's my turn. I'm getting it on this
Suicide Squad cut." Which, I mean, the sad reality about those two movies is that the studio fucked up the films entirely in both of those situations, and unfortunately, Ayer and Snyder, regardless of how good or bad it was, they were never given the opportunity to finish what they had envisioned in those cases.
But what I think the real unfortunate thing is, even with their original visions, I think it would have been shit.
Yes.
So if they just would have let them have their original visions, we wouldn't be going through this right now. You know what I mean?
I saw a Twitter hashtag today about make Solo 2 happen.
Yeah, like now people want a Solo 2. And they're like, that's been a whole thing for a while. I mean, that's another one that maybe you could make happen through Disney Plus, but I mean,
Disney's not
forgiving towards
Disney,
failure.
Disney never wants to admit that it made a bad decision, so they'll just never talk about that ever.
Yeah.
Now, Warner Brothers, I mean, they want headlining content on HBO Max. And so I happen to be of the mind where, I'm not excited about this, but I'll watch it because it's interesting. It's a different cut of a movie. It won't be good, but it'll be interesting. It'll get attention. The same thing with the Suicide Squad one. It'll get attention, and I'll watch it if it's there.
I don't know about the Suicide Squad one, but I did definitely watch the Justice League one. I don't need to hear, but I'm an idea. I don't need more of that shit. I really don't.
Well, here's the thing, though. Like, what a better way to make it up to Jared Leto, because he's been so royally screwed by that company.
I think he just wants to move on. He does not want any cut. No.
That was kind of his fault, though. Yeah. I'm sorry. He was just so bad in the movie.
They made a Joker movie without him. I mean, how low can you go? I mean, that's
pretty fucked up.
Mm-hmm. And of course, that ended up winning an Oscar. Honestly, the worst case scenario that could happen to any actor. He was. I don't think he would ever live it down. It's just so. It's honestly, they humiliated him, repeatedly.
Yeah. No, the studio. God. They really screwed, you forget, but they really screwed it up, all those films.
Yeah. Ben Affleck was supposed to direct at one point, and he left, of course.
Every
Batman movie.
Every opportunity they had, they made the wrong choice. The clearly wrong choice. Yeah, that's crazy.
Remember the days, the early days of Red Spotlight? The early days of Red Spotlight was pre-BVS. I know, especially from you, Peter, and Alexis and David, you guys were all excited for the DC movies that are coming up because it was going to be interconnected stuff like Marvel.
Because I love Batman and I love Superman and I love all that shit. And then they're just kind of But I mean, at this point, it's maybe it's better. Because I'm kind of over the interconnected stuff to a certain extent. I don't know. We'll see.
What do you make of the commotion that is going on online about this happening and the precedent that this takes for fan communities and fandom?
Does it change anything? Maybe. There are some people that are saying this doesn't set a good precedent for toxicity online, especially in these nerd communities. And to a certain extent, I agree. Can
we linger on that real quick? Because one could consider, if we'll take the perspective of these critics and journalists on film Twitter, who, let's say, were besieged for years about release the Snyder Cut. Mm-hmm. In one stroke, HBO Max threw them under the bus and validated the people who were throwing tomatoes at them for years on end. Mm-hmm. So you can understand partly the frustration on their side for having had to endure endless questions of release the Snyder Cut for years on end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing for me, though, is that, you got this community going we did it. This is for, the fans win this thing and all that. But it's really not a win. You're not getting your cut in the theaters. You're not even, it's like you said, it's not even a movie. We're going to get, a mini-series. We're probably not going to get a physical copy of this thing.
Well, and we're one of the few dinosaurs that give a shit about that.
That's true, but I mean, either way, I think a physical copy is important for.
I 100% agree, but we're the only grandpas that care. I fear. Well, I guess my thing is, this is only happening because of HBO Max.
Yeah, right. Especially when it's coming out next year. Mm-hmm. I think what's gonna be is that when this whole before that, I think they're just gonna look at the numbers, and then once the Snyder Cut comes out, they're gonna look at the numbers again. It's okay, how many more people did we get? And if it's good, who knows what they're gonna do next? If it's bad, they're okay, we're done with this. No more listening to the fans.
Well, I don't think they'll ever listen to the fans in this capacity, because they're dumping a shit ton of money because they have a new streaming service, right? And they want to do what they can to get eyes on their streaming service. So if dumping 20 to 30 million on this Snyder Cut works because it's like this big viral thing, okay. But if like HBO Max never came around, they would still be crying for the Snyder Cut. Like they would forever be crying for it, because they would never willy-nilly just drop 20 to 30 million to do what? Like a Blu-ray re-release it in theaters? They're not going to re-release it in theaters. Like, this was their only opportunity to do something like that.
It was a big enough bomb in the first place. They wouldn't re-release it in theaters.
Yeah.
There's literally no guarantee that if they made the Snyder Cut and released it in theaters, that they were going to make their money back.
Yeah.
I guarantee that it wouldn't have made $20 million.
So, like, the question is, like, for other people that might be emboldened, like, people that were like, oh, remake The Last Jedi. They're never remaking The Last Jedi.
No.
Like you can create an ad campaign that's 20 times that of what the release the Snyder Cut is. They're not doing it, like, ever. Ever. Make Solo 2 happen. It doesn't matter how many hashtags you get going. They're not making a Solo 2 because they'll look at the numbers and go, oh, we lost money. Okay, no, you didn't show up to the first one. We're not making a second one. We only do sure things. We're fucking Disney. So to a certain extent, I definitely think how it can make online movie spaces a lot more annoying and toxic.
As if it wasn't bad enough in the first place.
It's the internet.
And plus, I feel like Disney knows its fan base and knows
they're crazy.
How crazy and entitled they are. So it's like, no, we're not going to listen to you guys. We're going to do what we want.
Yeah, if the money's not there, they're not doing it. It doesn't matter how much you scream about it. They got super lucky with this HBO Max thing because it's something relatively cheap. Because if they weren't dropping 20 to 30 million on this, then it would be on a show. It would be something else. It would probably cost more than 20 to 30 million.
To put it in perspective, Warner Brothers might spend a lot less to do the Snyder Cut than Disney does to make The Mandalorian.
Yeah, and theoretically, it would bring over the same number of people.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, in a money perspective, it makes sense to do it now. The only argument I guess you could make is that the only reason they did it was because they saw a big enough crowd once HBO Max came along. So maybe you want a big enough crowd in case something like that, you get lucky. I don't know.
We should mention that this is following somewhat of a trend with what Tarantino is doing on Netflix, which is taking his movies and like making them into like bite-sized TV episodes, like what he did with what's the movie called? The Hateful Eight. We do know he's doing that for the Hollywood movie he did last year. At some point, it should be on Netflix, like episode versions of it with extended scenes that weren't in the film. That's what he's doing now. In that line, to me, as somebody who was very disappointed in It Chapter 2, I wouldn't mind seeing the 5-hour version that was like that the director, or the 4-hour version that he had in mind. I wouldn't mind seeing that put into episodes and see what the difference is. Like, fuck it. It's it.
Yeah, I mean, this theoretically could be a trend where instead of doing director's cuts for whatever studio you have, you do quote unquote miniseries.
That's where the money's at, and it gets funded by these streamers now.
Because you know how like you have the Lord of the Rings films, you have the extended cuts that are like fucking 4.5 hours. Maybe if that came out nowadays, instead of releasing extended cuts, chop it up into a mini series of television or whatever, and then boom, drop it on whatever HBO Max, whatever streaming service, and then you got new eyes on your content that you you're basically double dipping, right? Like, yeah. You already made this and made all the monies in the theaters, and now people are gonna come back to see it again, except longer. It pays itself twice over. So I can, to a certain extent, see that becoming a trend. But that only works if there's movie theaters, right?
That's a wonderful little segue to all of this. We'll see where this Snyder stuff goes, but I think this must have been a very last minute decision, because I would have assumed that they would have wanted this to. Well, had they made the decision a while back, this would have been a wonderful companion to drop alongside HBO Max itself, but it'll come when it comes, and it'll be a big thing. Now, the other thing that's happening in the industry that's been kind of a mystery is when exactly movie theaters are going to open up again. And we talked about this last week, but it may be more important now, because one of the big films of the year is seemingly moving forward with its planned release in mid-July or around that space. And that was the latest film from Christopher Nolan, who's made movies like Interstellar, Dunkirk, and The Dark Knight. His Inception. His recent movie is called Tenet, and it features, I think, John David Washington and Robert Pattinson. Is that right?
Yes. Okay. All the latest British stars. And they released a trailer this week, and with a big headline at the end, coming soon to theaters. The original release date has not been at all touched. I believe it was July 15th or some such, which is right in the middle of July, which is less than 2 months away, right? At this point, 2 months away from right now? Or about less than 2 months away from where we are right now. Good God.
And a marketing campaign, which would start this week, would be a 6 weeks or 5 weeks to it, to spend the money to do that in July. There's a lot of problems already with that, because, well, I think we should just ask the question. Does anybody here think that's going to happen? Mid-July?
I don't think. I mean, if they're real fucking stubborn, okay, you'll lose money.
Yeah,
it shouldn't though.
What did you say, Peter? It's going to be a disaster if that happens?
It's gonna be a disaster. I genuinely think it's gonna be a disaster, because when you had said that it's probably a long fucking movie, like near 3 hours, or maybe
over
even
3 hours, maybe.
Maybe they might cut off some time. They're finishing the movie until, days before it's supposed to actually premiere. But the country's closed off. I know where we live, it's worse than ever. Like, worse than ever.
By the day. Like, since this whole thing has started, numbers are not going down. Anywhere?
Anywhere? I don't know if anywhere they are going
in the country. Nowhere in the country, I think, is the right answer.
And the places that are slightly okay, they're like, we can reopen. And even places that aren't okay are like, we can reopen. Which means you're going to get cases, starting today, which might not manifest for a couple weeks, which might last even more weeks. Like, that's 2 months right there.
Yeah.
I don't... Stop being stubborn dumbasses. Like, movie theaters aren't opening this year. I wish they were.
I don't think it's a question of...
I wish we were in a position where they could. Go ahead.
I don't think it's a question of, do we think they're going to open? It's a question of, are they going to open? And I think that they are, because it's the US and, whether it's it's a good idea or not, obviously it's not, but,
Well, let's follow that train of thought. So let's say movie theaters are open, and that's kind of an asterisk you have to put on there, because there are movie theaters open right now, scattered across the country. A lot of them are actually staying closed because, go figure, they have nothing to show. But for the ones that are opening up and for ones that will be open by the time July comes, there's a problem when it comes to places like LA and New York. They're going to be closed in July because they've extended their stay-at-home orders through that.
There's like places in San Diego that are already open.
Right.
I'm pretty sure there's places in LA that are already open. Like,
no, there's not. They're not allowed to open at all under law in Los Angeles. They can't. That's been extended through July. You can't open a movie theater in Los Angeles. You just can't, unless you know something that I don't.
No, but I don't know. It's just I thought the same thing of San Diego, and
right.
Like my aunts, my whole family lives over there, and they're like going about their day and stuff. So it's like,
to be fair, though, Los Angeles and New York have it, I think, about the worst. They have a lot of cases in most places out there have it. But I would think the most likely scenario is that movie theaters in Los Angeles and New York are not open by the time Tenet comes in July. And if that's the case, I just think, like, why would you want to open a big movie like that when you have so many factors going against you? Let alone that a lot of theaters are not going to be open. Those that are only going to be selling the screening rooms at half capacity for social distancing. Even if all of the screens are devoted to your movie, that's still half as many people anywhere. And a lot of them in other like populated places in the country are going to be closed. And there's also another question. Are we sure AMC is going to open in July? Because if AMC doesn't open, I don't know how you make any money. I mean, they own the majority of the movie houses in the country. Yeah. And if they're closed, you don't have a movie.
There's a shit ton of big ifs concerning this. And it's worrying to me that Christopher Nolan seems to be extremely stubborn about the premiere date. I could understand being stubborn about wanting it to be in theaters. You know what I mean? But being stubborn about that specific date and not being willing to move it is fucking weird. Well, for one, let's consider this. We know they're not going to move anything to VOD because we just have a sneaking suspicion Scoob was a disaster because they have not released any figures, any numbers as to how well that movie did. We've heard nothing from Warner Brothers since Scoob was put on VOD.
But nothing. I feel like the marketing for that was really bad because I honestly didn't even know that it was going to be released.
The marketing wasn't good either. Yeah,
till like the day that it premiered on there. So, I don't know. I feel like if everybody's at home, like, the marketing should be easy. And I honestly didn't see anything. I don't think for movies like Tenet or Wonder Woman, there's a risk of those being put on VOD. Those movies cost a lot of money to make, and you'd only ever get the money back in a theater. Unless he's like very adamant about that date because everything else got moved up, and he's like, no, like I want my movie to like. But I think what Peter said earlier is at what cost? Yeah. It's your movie. You spent so much time working on it, and by all indications, look, we're a bunch of like people. We're not in this industry. We just cover it. Like we don't have jobs in this, and we're all like what 25 years younger. Like we're not the people that are of the age or the background to make these decisions. But we could see it a mile away. This is bad. This is bad for your movie and your career. Like this is a movie that I'm sure cost a lot of money to make, considering how he is. And to be fair to him, his films make money. Like he's one of the rare directors that can sell a movie based off his name and he can make money, but he's not going to make that back if this thing like hits critical in July and if half the theaters are closed.
Well, that's why though, if you know you got a guaranteed moneymaker, why risk it?
I mean, why do you think they moved? Why do you think they moved? What's it called? Wonder Woman or Black Widow or Mulan? Yeah. Like, well, first of all, they were closed, but
you should be saving like some of your mid-tier films for when shit opens up.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't know what those would be. Maybe an animated film they haven't yet released to VOD, but yeah, just some mid-level tier film, not your giant massive blockbuster. So to ease people in towards movies again. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like Tenet not moving, although I think they understand that too, because their trailer said in theaters,
right,
and they were very sure not to say in theaters July whatever, which they usually do at that point, at this point, as far as trailers go. So it tells you they're still unsure themselves.
I would think that's just a smart choice, because you can't risk another aspect of this is selling the movie and the marketing. You can't dump your entire marketing budget and then not release the movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's bad.
VOD, Tenet
you were saying,
night.
Peter?
You were saying mutants, do it.
Yes. Just do it. Oh my god.
Well, that's what Peter said.
Poor movie.
I know. That Peter said that's what Disney is going to use to throw out the wolves in August to see what happens. Yeah. If people are going to come back.
That is, like I said, mid-tier movie.
Yeah.
That's a movie, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You throw it out there and see what bites. But it's one of your disposable movies, so if you lose money, it wasn't fucking Mulan or something else you're trying to build a franchise on, right?
And New Mutants, but it's just there is a potential to make a profit of some sort if you just drop it on VOD, because it's so known at this point. You might make some money, but you're going to lose a lot of money in theaters. You just are.
But then, I mean, this depends on those Scoob numbers, right?
Yeah. I don't know. It's just that whole Scoob situation is in large contrast with what Universal did, because Trolls was out for 3 days, and then they made this big dick announcement of well, from now on, certain movies are going to be in theaters and in VOD at the same time. But they really probably should have had more than one movie.
Yeah.
Before they make such a bold announcement like that, because that could have just been because of the time that it was, more than it was about the anticipation for Trolls World Tour, which really, yeah, that's Trolls and Scoob are the kind of movies that I'm yeah, I don't need this, and that's mainly because I can just tell okay, these are just commercial items that there was a clip that was out today about Simon Cowell on Scoob, and it looked like crap to me. So yeah, so I just think it's going to be a rude awakening, right? Because I don't think we're going to see movie theaters back in large fashion. There may be scatterings of small theaters that have opened because of their conservative areas have lifted the restrictions. We could see that, but they're not going to be showing anything new. And if they go ahead though and plow through to July and they release Tenet, it's going to be a disaster unlike we've ever seen before. Not only will its potential box office be neutered, but here's the thing. And I saw somebody make this point today on a show that talks about these things, about how they're taking all of these photos of people going to the beaches and the malls and everything, and they're using that as anecdotal evidence that this means people can't possibly wait to get back in a movie theater. A movie theater house, there's a bunch. What's the word called? What is it called? The air is literally repumped into the building. It's just the air conditioning is the worst place you can be.
Recycled air. Recycled
air. You're right. That's the best conditions for the virus to just be kept alive. And if you're sitting in a dark room with that recycled air pumping into the room, you don't think if just one person has it, even if they're like far away from you on the other end of the theater, you don't think you're not going to catch that? Like, that's
drive-in movies.
That's just bad.
Drive-in movies.
Bring them back. Mm-hmm. Return the Earth to its natural habitat.
Yeah.
Of drive-ins.
Like,
I love drive-ins.
It's a recipe for disaster. Like, I'm thinking about that myself, and like, even if movies open up, I don't see myself going back
Not
until
for
like
a
maybe
while.
next year. No. And
Like,
I should say, like, for people like us who practically used to go every week, I mean, I'm willing to give it up. I don't know why you people can't, I don't know, wear a mask or something. Like, Jesus,
I don't
fuck.
think I'll go to the theaters until where we live, it's in the single digits.
Yeah.
Until this
Especially
thing's
you
been
guys.
killed. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's no, like, I'm sorry.
Right now we're about,
I
what,
love people
500,
that live there,
600?
but like, goddamn, like,
No, we have like one of the worst air quality. We're the worst in the state per capita. It's not pretty.
To say nothing of the attitude of the people here.
Well, I
which
mean,
doesn't help.
Yeah, because that's why people are still partying. They're still, yeah.
I mean,
it's
we
not
were
the
just
best.
told by our good friend Kyle Lira, who is, of course, the essential worker of the year. He was told that there were several massive orders for parties going around town for Memorial Day. I mean, which is why it's hard to see this thing going away or being good by July. And it's just not going to happen. And I don't expect movies like Dune, West Side Story, or Wonder Woman, or Black Widow, or whatever I think that's done.
Not even by December.
The films I think that we might still see are low-budget indie films, maybe some Oscar bait movies that will drop on a streaming service or on VOD, because the Oscars changed their rules to where like they're not going to allow films that debut on streaming services or online to be eligible for awards consideration. Now, of course, they've also mentioned they might just postpone it altogether, but if the majority of the Oscar bait films do get dropped on VOD or on some streamer, I think that'll give the Oscars enough like...
What fucking cowards.
I know.
They don't have the
cushion
balls to nominate Birds of Prey for Best Picture or Sonic for Best Picture.
Or what's it called? Jim Carrey for Best Supporting Actor.
Jim Carrey for Best Supporting
Sonic.
Actor. They don't have the balls to do Onward Best Picture. They don't have the balls for this, and I'm frankly disgusted with the Academy. You work with what you got, all right? If If The Invisible Man is the best film of the year, then it's the best film of the
Elizabeth
year.
Moss
Pandemic
was
or
robbed.
not. If Elizabeth Moss wins Best Actress, then she wins Best Actress. Okay?
So far, I think she'd be a great Best Actress from what
Yeah.
I've seen this year.
Yeah.
I just purchased the film. If you want to see it, by the way, guys, Invisible Man. I don't know if you've seen it already.
It's
but
really
it's there.
good.
Yeah.
It's really,
So-
really good. If you like gaslighting, check it out.
Yeah, and we're only like what 2.5 months into this, so we've got a long way to go. We've got a long way to go. So, yeah, if no one else has any other thoughts, we're going to go ahead and close it off there. Thank you all for being here. I thought it was a fascinating conversation. Mostly depressing, but I mean, I don't know. What did Peter just say? You work with what you're given, I guess. You work with what you got. And that's all we got right now is just nothing but sad stuff. I think I speak for all of us. If you're listening, stay inside. Stay home. Don't think this is all over just because the rest of the country are idiots and are in a death cult and don't care about your life. Care about yourself and your family. Do what you can. Stay safe. We're only getting started. This is not going to be over. It's not. But we got plenty of podcasts coming your way. Every single week. We got Avatar podcasts. We've got more the films that inspired us or like made an impact on us podcasts coming, as well as other crap coming your way.
Who did we decide was next?
Alexis Moreno.
Moreno. You got your list ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've got more.
Oh my God. Wait. I forgot to add another show that I've been watching. I haven't mentioned it this entire time, but I've been watching it this entire time. 90 Day Fiancé.
Oh my God.
It's the greatest show that's ever lived.
That show stresses me out.
It's amazing. Every one of you should watch it. It is the most American thing you can watch on Memorial Day. I'll tell you that. Watch it. Okay, go ahead.
Pizza Hut's giving away 200,000 free pizzas if you graduated. So lie to them. Tell them you're a graduate and get free pizza.
Did you see that Chuck E. Cheese is selling its pizza as Pascali's Pizza?
Yeah, I saw. Dude, that's so funny.
Because no one wants to order Chuck E. Cheese pizza. Chuck E. Cheese pizza is pretty good,
It
but
is,
people are just like,
is.
Yeah, I need to try some Pascali's.
Desperate times call for desperate measures.
Meanwhile, from all indications, Domino's is raking in the cash.
They're freaking. They're working their workers to the
Jeff
bone.
Bezos of pizza.
The Jeff Bezos. You know what? I've been told, and I quote, we're making more money now than before the pandemic. For Domino's Pizza.
Whoa. Yeah. Everyone's anything that has to do with online, like they're killing it right now. Jeff Bezos is almost a trillionaire, guys.
I meant Domino's.
I know, but I'm saying in general, everything that has online, like pizza has always been a delivery food.
Yep.
Just in general. So now that everything's online, like no one can go everywhere, people turn to the number one delivery food, pizza. So there you go. It's a pizza pie.
We'll see you in the next podcast. You can listen to our podcasts, Wooshka, YouTube, Google, Spotify, and Apple, anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Grindr, Tinder.
Sure.
FarmersOnly.com.
Keep it here under the spotlight. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.